This is Live from the Table, the official podcast of the world-famous Comedy Cellar, available wherever you get your podcasts, available on YouTube, which is the preferred way to enjoy the podcast because you get visual as well as audio. And every now and again, we'll play videos where that really comes in handy. This is Dan Naturman. Hey, Noam's not here this week. He's in Vegas doing something regarding the Las Vegas Club. I'm not sure what it is, but Noam also owns a Comedy Cellar in Las Vegas, and every now and again he goes out to Vegas to do business. Maybe he's not really doing business. Maybe he just tells his wife that so he can get a week away. I don't know. That's not my business.
I don't think that's true.
That's probably not true.
I don't think he likes going away from his wife or kids, actually.
Oh, you're probably right. Anyway, Periel Aschenbrand, that's her voice. And that's it. It's a skeleton crew. So, it's obviously going to be very different than the typical episodes where Noam does most of the talking, and it's very, very political. Tiana, though, she joins us as usual behind the soundboard. She's our sound wizard. Tiana, how are you?
Good. How are you guys?
We're okay, I think. Well, I can't speak for Periel. I'm all right. I was wondering, now that we have Noam's not here, I just wonder, Tiana, you've been quietly there behind the soundboard all these episodes. You must be thinking to yourself, how the hell is this the Comedy Cellar podcast? They don't talk about comedy. All they fucking talk about is Israel.
It was definitely different, but I'm learning.
No, but you must have thought to yourself, how the fuck is this the Comedy Cellar podcast?
I think that's what you're thinking, not what
that's what everybody's
you're
thinking.
Projecting.
That doesn't mean they're not enjoying it, by the way. But it means they're thinking that this is a seriously odd way to brand this podcast.
Listen, I think that Tiana...
Just say this is the podcast of the Comedy Cellar, and then we talk about, the things that we talk about. It must strike people as somewhat odd. Tiana, I would imagine, among them.
I mean, I'm sure these convos happen at the other Comedy Cellar tables, so live from our table.
No. If Noam's not there, these conversations aren't happening. Not to the depth. I mean, Noam, he comes here. He's got quotes. He's got videos. Most comics don't have discussions in that sort of depth. Or even within a 10th or a 20th or a 100th. Maybe Colin comes the closest, Colin Quinn. But no, these conversations aren't happening if Noam's not here. And certainly nobody's got a stack of notes at the Comedy Cellar. Anyway, here we are. So Iran is happening. We can, we're not going to do it the way Noam does it.
That's fine.
I don't have a stack of notes, but we can
have some notes. You have some notes. You don't have any notes?
On Iran?
Yeah.
No, I don't have any notes.
Listen, I want to just say that the plan was not to have a skeleton crew. We were trying to Zoom some comics in who were trapped in Israel because of this war, and unfortunately, circumstances took a turn.
Well, the circumstances is that they're tired. It's where they are. They had to fly out from Jordan, and they wound up in Rome because that's the only flight they could get, and it's midnight or so in Rome at the time that we're taping. And then they had an exhausting day of travel and an exhausting week of being in bomb shelters. And so they couldn't, they decided not to join us.
Now, do you think that had you been there that you would have opted to take a bus to Jordan, or you would have stayed in Israel until you could have evacuated, from there, let's say?
Well, I have things to do, Periel, so that I might have stayed a little bit longer, but I have a cruise next week. I got to go to Nova Scotia.
Really?
Well, I'm going on a cruise. It's the first stop is Nova Scotia, and one of the stops is Boston. It's just weird to be going on a cruise with where you could have taken an Amtrak, but it's one of these New England cruises that they do during the summer.
Okay.
In the Caribbean, I guess it's too hot.
All right.
So I'm doing that.
Are you looking forward to
No,
that?
I'm not looking forward. You know damn well I'm not looking forward to it. I don't look forward to these things.
What part are you not looking forward to, though?
Now, most comics will tell you, I love the performing, but it's the traveling. That's what I'm being paid for. I don't feel that way. The traveling to me is not the bad part. No, I don't love it. It's not the bad, but it's the performing. I don't like it. It's no secret. I make no secret of the fact that I got into a profession that I don't enjoy. And I never liked it. I always thought I would be get on television because this is what was going on when I started doing comedy. I looked at Seinfeld. I said, well, he went on Letterman, did 5 minutes, made people laugh, and got a show. So therefore, if I go on Letterman for 5 minutes, make people laugh, I thought that's what it was.
But why do you think that you would enjoy having a television show, or would you not enjoy that either?
Yes.
What would you enjoy about
if it's a good show. I'll tell you what I don't enjoy about stand-up is the stress of the stage fright. I like, if I do a new joke and it works, when I come here to the Comedy Cellar, because this is my home club and I'm at ease here, that's fine. That's fun. That's satisfying. Yes, especially if I have a new joke that works. But I'm not the whole damn show. I mean, if worse comes to, there's no pressure.
What do you mean there's no pressure? Of course there's pressure.
There's no pressure. I'm doing 15 minutes.
So there's 15 minutes of... Wait. There's 15 minutes of very serious high stakes. You can't bomb.
Yeah, but even if you're bombing, you're only bombing for 15 minutes. And if for whatever reason, I can't finish the set, there's other people there.
Has that ever happened to you once at the Cellar?
Well, one time it did because I had to use the bathroom. Okay. So I ran off the stage and the MC wasn't in the room, and I said, get back on the stage, and I ran down to the Village Underground where they have bathrooms with more privacy.
Okay,
that said,
okay, but how many years have you been performing?
Well, don't age me.
I'm just trying.
30-ish.
I'm just trying to have a reality conversation with you because I think that a lot of this is anxiety.
Look, you're not going to cure me. 30 years of dealing with this, it defies rational.
Okay, but just stay with me.
But you're not going to cure me in the course of this podcast.
Okay, fine. I'm going to try. Okay, so
make it quick because we got a lot of shit to get to.
You have 30 years of, let's say you perform here, 3-4 times a week?
I'm not worried about, that's what I'm saying. I'm not worried about performing here.
I understand that, but you're saying you're not worried because it's only
I get
15
worried
minutes.
when the whole show is on me. If I'm on a cruise ship, they're like, oh, let's see the comedy show. Then I can't do the job that I'm supposed to do. It's all me. Their evening.
I understand. How long is the show?
And it's embarrassing.
Minutes? 45 minutes?
On this cruise, it'll be a half hour on this particular cruise with this particular...
Okay, so half an hour. For you, that's nothing. You could do half an hour with your eyes closed. It's 2 sets at the Cellar. I'm just trying to offer another perspective.
It's also not my home environment. I'm also confined on a ship with the very people that if I bomb or if for whatever reason it doesn't go right.
What would happen?
They're on the ship with me. I mean, I was on it. Well, it's embarrassing.
And to see them at breakfast the next day is.
Yeah, I did a Ritz-Carlton ship a couple of months ago. The first show went well. The second show was terrible.
Okay.
I looked forward to going ashore the next day. I didn't go ashore because the ship docked out to sea. You had to take one of those little ships, a tender.
Yeah.
And there's it's a tiny little, it looks like a lifeboat. And it goes from the ship to the shore. But it's a very confined space with you and whoever else is on the tent. I didn't go ashore. I was looking forward to seeing St. John, and I didn't go. Because I had such a bad set the night before.
Because you didn't want to be...
I didn't want to be in a little tiny thing with people that might have seen me the night before.
What do you think would have happened had you?
Look, we don't need to go down this road.
Well,
because you're not going to cure me in the space of this podcast.
Why are you so committed to not even trying to see it from a different perspective?
I see it. That's because it's not. Do you understand that public speaking is people's worst fear? That's like a deep-seated, intrinsic, primal, genetically encoded even fear that people have, and I'm no exception. I was hoping to use this to get on a TV show where if you fuck it up, they yell cut and you do it again.
Okay, but let me ask you this then. If you got on a TV show and you had your own TV show, let's say you sold your own TV show and then people didn't like the TV show, you'd have to see millions of people in public.
Well, didn't I guess, but at least you're on a TV show. I mean, It's not the same as bombing in a room.
Listen, I want to say a few things. I feel like I'm not getting like sufficient credit here. First of all, I do understand that public speaking is terrifying. I also have bad stage fright. So I really, really, really appreciate how anxiety inducing that is. I have terrible stage fright also. So I really do get it. And I used to teach public speaking to high school kids. So I feel like I'm not like profoundly empathetic to this position.
Tiana, are you enjoying this conversation?
I think it's funny that you're not taking Periel's advice.
Well, I don't know what advice she can give me.
I'm not trying to give you advice. I'm only trying to have like a different angle of looking at this. Because I think that I just don't like that you refuse, like you're so committed to the suffering.
I just don't think that anything you say, and we have a lot to get to.
Okay, so we can skip it. If there are any psychologists or psychiatrists listening, I'd be interested in.
Look, it's just
info at what's our email address?
I forgot. Because I haven't given it out in so long, I forgot what it is. Podcast at comedyseller.com,
yeah.
I believe.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, fine. We can put a pin in that.
Anyway, so that's where I'll be. So that's why I wouldn't have stayed. I probably would have. And if everybody was going to go to Jordan, and I'd never been to Jordan, so that might have been interesting, I probably would have done that.
I just want to say for the record that had I been on that Ritz-Carlton trip with you, I would have made you come in the tender with me. And I think you would have come.
Yes, because I could have buried my head.
Yes, you could have.
And so that they wouldn't see me.
Next up on the...
did you want to talk about Iran?
I think we should talk about Iran.
Well, I mean, I don't know...
Do you know you don't know
I know what's going on. I know that Israel's bombing Iran, trying to take out their nuclear facilities, and trying to take out other things like oil fields and command and control, the ballistic missile launchers and where they are and all that. And is America officially involved now? Have we started? The United States started to
no
to do missions over there?
No, I don't think so.
Well, anyway.
I think that it seems like we're possibly like on the dawn of an entirely new era. No.
Well, if they can knock out this regime and if it gets replaced by some stable democratic regime, then yes, then that would be the dawn of a new era.
Do you think that that's possible or likely?
It's certainly possible, but from what I gather, most Iranians are anti-regime.
Yes.
And from what the Iranians that I see on Twitter... they're all anti-regime. That doesn't mean they love Israel, and that doesn't mean they like getting bombed. And that doesn't mean they like it, what's happening. And
well, first of all, I don't think that anybody likes getting bombed. I mean,
some people, some number of Iranians are like, yeah, we hate getting bombed, but it's worth it because the regime might fall. Other Iranians are behind the regime, and I don't know what percentage that would be, 10%, I don't know, 20%. And then others are like, yeah, we don't like the regime, but we don't like, and we don't like the bombing more than we don't like the regime, so that it's not worth the price we're paying by getting bombed. And some number might be that we're anti-regime might become pro-regime as a result of this. So and then...
I don't think most Iranians are pro-regime.
No, I said some number.
No, I know that.
Might switch to the other side, maybe. I don't know.
I mean,
most of them are anti-regime.
Yes,
from everything I can gather.
Most Iranians are completely anti-regime. This is a regime that is killing women for showing their hair and killing people for being gay. I mean, this is a country that in 1949 was like a full Western democracy.
Well, somebody must like these people because they're in power and they've been in power for 40 years.
I mean,
you can't do that with no popular support.
Well,
you have to have some number of people to enforce these.
But, dictators take over.
Yeah, but it can't be one person taking over. You have to have an infrastructure of people that are enforcing your decrees and arresting the people that need to be arrested
sure,
and all that.
sure.
So there's some number of people there like the regime.
But the majority of the
yes,
country,
from everything
and
I gather, the majority don't like it.
of Iranians who fled Iran because of the regime.
I saw something last night where this woman was saying that this Iranian French woman, I was watching French news, and she said that her contacts in Iran, they all have one name, that they're all saying the same thing. They want to bring this Pahlavi guy back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who was the Shah's son.
Yeah.
But the Shah was an asshole too, from what I understand. He was a corrupt guy that persecuted his political enemies, and so he wasn't so great either. He was anti-democratic. So I don't know. I do see the Shah's son on Twitter though.
Yeah.
Talk about it's now's the time.
Yeah. I mean, I think that everybody's saying, or the most people are saying that now is the time.
Well, if there's going to be a time, it will be now. If they're not going to do it now, then it's not getting done. And I don't think Israel or the United States, we have our record of regime change is abysmal.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not great.
Unless they're going to do it,
they have to do it.
Then
this is a window.
It's going to be
to
another mess like Iraq or Libya.
Let's hope not.
So hopefully, I can't imagine the regime will stay in power, but what replaces it, I don't know. Will it be replaced by a civil war or something worse, or maybe they'll stay.
Where are you putting your bets?
Well, if I had to bet, I'd say the regime is going to fall. But in terms of what's going to come after, I don't know. Maybe this Pahlavi guy, whatever.
I don't know.
Maybe Bernie Sanders.
I think that it's a real opportunity for. I mean, maybe I'm being like sort of what Pollyanna.
It's apparently not that easy to overthrow this regime because they haven't done it in 40 years. You have a majority of the country, by all accounts, by everything I've read, that hates this regime, and yet they're still there since 1979. So for whatever reason, they haven't gotten rid of these people. So I guess it's not that easy. I mean, now it's obviously easier. So I don't know. So that's why I can't say for sure,
Well, I don't think anybody can say for sure.
Well,
I think that the point is that let's get them the fuck out of here and try to usher in a new dawn.
I will see what happens.
I can just tell you that
will the Ayatollah survive the week? If you had to make a prediction, survive the week, either that is to say, survive either die or leave Iran within the week.
I mean, he's saying
he may already be out of Iran. Actually.
You think so?
Well, I've heard rumors that there's planes that have been flying out, and I don't know.
Caitlyn Jenner was in Israel or is in Israel. I think she actually flew out. That was, and she said there was no place she would rather be, that she was.
Well, I wonder how she flew out. She probably flew out in a private aircraft.
I would imagine that she was. I would imagine that she flew out the same way that our friends got out through Jordan.
Maybe, but if
I don't think there are any flights.
So even a private aircraft.
I don't think so.
Maybe
I don't think so.
Be.
I think the airspace is completely closed. I can tell you this. My mother-in-law was born and grew up in Iran and came to Israel as a little girl. And she said that when I asked her, and also a building went down, 14-story building around the corner from her house in Israel, from these ballistic missiles that are flying into Israel and knocking down buildings, right? So it's not just that Israel's bombing Iran, it's also that Iran is bombing Israel and has been attacking Israel through their proxy armies for the past, 4 decades. So let's put all the cards on the table if we're going to have a conversation. Hezbollah in Lebanon, that's Iran. The Houthis from Yemen, that's Iran. Hamas in Gaza, that's Iran. So let's just be clear with that. And they're also killing Arabs and Muslims in Israel with these bombs. Okay, so that's one thing.
Well, look, I mean...
Wait. Let me just finish. So my mother-in-law...
But I have to speak to that point.
Okay.
So a lot of people have been making the point that, well, look at what Iran's doing. Israel's targeting specific military sites, and Iran is targeting civilians.
That's right.
That argument to me... I certainly fault Iran for many things, but I can't blame them. They don't have the technology or the ability to target military. I don't think so. All they can do is send off ballistic missiles blindly into civilian areas. I don't know that they have a choice. Either they do nothing at all, which that's not going to happen, or they do what they're doing.
I mean, I don't think that that's an excuse for killing civilians indiscriminately.
If someone's attacking you and your only method is to send ballistic missiles in the blind, I'm hard pressed to fault you for sending out ballistic missiles blindly.
Okay.
I do fault them for everything else. Fault them for, pursuing nuclear weapons while at the same time having said over the past decades that Israel must be destroyed. I fault them for the Houthis, the Hezbollah, the Hamas.
Sending
but
missiles
the
for
fact that they're sending these missiles blindly into civilian areas, that to me, that doesn't make it that's not an argument that I think.
Well, let me put it this way. If Israel or the United States was sending ballistic missiles anywhere
because
blindly,
we have the ability to be more precise. They don't. I don't know that they have the ability to be more precise if they wanted to, which they may not want, probably don't want to.
If they did have the ability?
Well, then it would have to be another conversation. But I don't think they have that ability. I think the only thing they can do is send off these rockets blindly, and where they land wherever they land. Or semi-blind. I mean, maybe they can kind of sort of get it into the area, but because they haven't, I don't think, hit Jerusalem.
They have.
They have? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, a building went down around the corner from my in-laws, a 14-story building, and I spoke to my mother-in-law, and I asked her, how she feels that Iran, this whole thing is going on, given that she's from there. And she said that she hopes that Israel kills all of these Drek leaders in all of Iran so that she can go back shopping in the shuk, in the markets there, like she did when she was a little girl. And I would argue that most people who were expelled from Iran probably would take that.
They want to go shopping.
They want to go shopping. They want...
You're saying this war is about shopping.
I'm saying that most Iranians, from what I've read on Twitter and Instagram and people who I know, are like...
Well, Iranian Jews.
No, I know Iranians who aren't Jewish also. Well, okay, and even if it's just Iranian Jews, they don't count?
They do not count. That is correct. not in this particular context, they don't.
Why not?
I want to hear from Iranians that are not... Because Iranian Jews are going to side with Israel.
It's not just siding with Israel. These people have been ethnically cleansed out of their home country. What does it matter if they're Jewish or not?
I'm saying on this particular issue, I want to hear from Iranians that are not Jewish. And of the few that I stumble across on Twitter, yes, they're all anti-regime, and some of them are pro-Israel. Others are anti-regime and anti-Israel.
My understanding also is that in the Middle East, it's not about who you love. It's about who you hate less.
I guess. I don't know.
So I don't think you have to love Israel to want the regime to fall.
No, but I'm just saying those seem to be the points of view.
Anyway, that's our take.
So that's our take on Iran. And I think it was a reasonable one. But I don't know that what Noam would have necessarily added. Well, I tell you what Noam would have added. He would have added an air of intellect. Because he just sounds like two idiots talking. But we were.
Why do you think that was anti-intellectual?
I think that Noam has a way of doing it. That he's got his iPad. He's looking at his computer. He's typing. He's typing it up. He'll cite things. Quote people.
Okay, so can you pull up that quote, Tiana, that we have? Dan, can you read that for us, please?
Iran says they hit the Mossad building in a missile strike. Luckily, nobody's there. They were all in Iran. All right, that's funny. Well, yes, because apparently there's just to explain this for those who may not get it. There's a lot of Mossad agents in Iran, apparently. Whether they're Israelis or Iranians that are working for the Mossad. I tend to think that they're Iranians working for the Mossad rather than Israelis in Iran.
Or they're both. They're Iranian Israelis.
Well, they could.
Jewish.
They could be like Eli Cohen. They could be Eli Cohening the situation. You know Eli Cohen?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, Eli Cohen was a guy. He was Egyptian. And there was a miniseries on Netflix starring Sacha Baron Cohen. He was an Egyptian Jew who infiltrated Syria at the highest levels and convinced them that he was some Egyptian Muslim guy that was originally his grandparents were from Syria or something like that. And he infiltrated at the highest levels of Syrian politics. And transmitted secrets back to the Israelis. He got caught because he was transmitting, and they were able to triangulate the transmission somehow, and they caught him and they hung him. I think this was in the 60s, but and so maybe that's what's going on. So there could be Israeli Iranians that speak perfect Farsi.
Of course.
Now, my whole thing about Eli Cohen is I don't think the Syrians tried it wouldn't have been that hard for them to verify who this guy was, in my opinion. If they really wanted to. They say, well, who are your, because he said, I'm from Egypt and these are my parents. Well, who are your parents? Really? Okay, well, who'd you grow up with? Name one Muslim that we can call that you grew up with. And they didn't do that.
Okay.
Had they done that, they said, just name one guy.
Well,
you're a Muslim? Name the guy, name the imam at your mosque. We're going to call him up and we're going to ask him, is this guy, I forgot the name that he used, but here's his picture. Here's the name that is this guy somebody that you remember from your mosque in Cairo? And they would have said, no, who the fuck is this guy? And that would have been it. It didn't seem like it would have been that hard.
Okay. I mean,
so they didn't try very hard.
I think
maybe they were very trusting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that I'm sure that they've got like a few layers of protection. They're not just sending people in with I didn't see the show. I'll watch it and report back.
Okay, but I'm pretty sure that there's not much more there. I mean, I think it would have been very, very easy. If somebody said to you, if somebody came to Israel and said, I'm Jewish and I want, you could find it within a 20-minute conversation. You'd know if they were bullshitting you or not.
I mean, I think that people do this all the time. They wind up working in like pedophiles work in like schools, and then like 6 years later, you find out.
Well, they don't have the resources of the Syrian government. I'm saying with the resources of a government could have, if they really investigated.
Find out. How long did it take them to find out?
They never found out until they caught him transmitting to the Israelis. They never knew until they were like these transmissions. They were coming from his apartment, and they were this.
And Sacha Baron Cohen played Eli Cohen?
Yeah, Sacha Baron Cohen played Eli Cohen, yeah.
I love him. He's very good.
He's good.
Okay, I'm going to watch this. It's
The Spy on Netflix.
Okay.
I think it's called The Spy. Did you see it, Tiana? Tiana, are you there?
Yes, no, I didn't see it.
Okay. What are you watching on Netflix these days? Any recommendations?
I'm watching old stuff because I'm on a nostalgia kick right now.
Well, what old stuff are you watching?
I just watched Meet the Barkers, which is about Travis Barker from Blink-182. And there's a remake of One Day at a Time on Netflix that's really good.
Oh, because I know Mike Royce, who was a showrunner. Mike Royce, who used to write for Everybody Loves Raymond, and he was a showrunner for One Day at a Time. And like People Magazine just came out with an article saying, "Oh, you got to watch this."
It's great. It's great.
So he posted that on his Instagram, and I congratulated him because
Mazel Tov.
I'm trying to get a writing job.
This is a quote from CNN.
Go ahead.
Israel's unprecedented attack shows Iran has become a quote-unquote playground for the Mossad.
Okay, well, but again, I don't know if these are Israelis infiltrating or Iranians that.
I don't see what difference that makes.
Well,
I'm saying that they're one and the same. I think.
But one is more impressive. You send an Israeli guy into Iran pretending that he's, it's an Eli Cohen sort of.
But you understand that, like, sending a quote unquote Israeli guy into Iran probably means that his parents were from Iran,
right? But he still has to He still has to come up with a whole backstory. Oh, here was where I was born. Here's where I went to my mosque. Here's where.
Sure.
Here are the people
fine.
I knew growing up. Here's where here's where I go for my halal kefta. You have to have a whole story.
Good, Dan. Very good.
Whereas a guy that's already living in Iran, he's got a story already.
Yeah.
He grew up in Iran. He's Muslim, and he just happens to be working for the Mossad. So that to me is a lot easier, a lot less impressive.
I would venture to guess that, just for argument's sake, I'll grant you, like, if I'm being generous, it's like, 70-30?
Okay, I have no way of knowing one way or the other.
Well, I have no idea either. It doesn't really matter.
Something I'm curious about.
Okay, we'll come back to that too.
Well,
maybe
we'll have to ask somebody that knows.
Who knows?
Maybe Yochai Sponder would know. Yochai Sponder is a comedian, an Israeli comedian, lives in New York.
Why would he know? He doesn't live in New York. He lives in Israel.
Okay, well, he lives there, so maybe he knows these things. Maybe he's an operative.
Maybe my husband knows. I could ask him too. Should I call him?
Yeah, not now, but at some point.
Why? I could put him on speaker. He might be.
All right, if you can get him, please. I guess we can either edit this out, or I can maybe just sing or something, or keep people entertained.
Let's see.
With a freestyle rap.
Wait. Let's see.
Where's Chris Turner when you need him?
Hi, you're on speaker and you're on the podcast with me and Dan.
Okay.
Hello, Guy.
Can you tell us if you know from the Mossad agents from Israel who are in Iran, are those Israeli Jewish people, or are they Muslim Iranians, or is it a combination of both?
Probably a combination of both.
What do you think the percentage would be?
Probably more local.
That's what I'm saying. More local.
So, like what? Like 50-50?
He said more local is not 50-50.
I really don't know.
Okay.
I really don't know, but probably they're probably using local as well.
Okay.
Or it can be also foreigners, that it doesn't need to be Jewish Israelis or Muslim or Iranian.
Okay.
Well, then who would they be if they're not one of those two people?
Dan saying, who would they be then?
European.
And then what? They have to make like a whole backstory up for them?
Of course. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Okay.
it doesn't sound like Guy has any specialized knowledge.
Well, I beg to differ, but okay, I'll talk. Go ahead.
Don't forget, it's a huge country with a bunch of different borders. And Israel, in the past few years, have an unbelievable relationship, partnership, and agreements between us and Azerbaijan. Correct?
Azerbaijan.
So I think Israel is now flying pretty easy to Azerbaijan, and it's a pretty wide border.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'll call you later.
Thank you, Guy. Well, Guy clearly doesn't have any direct contacts with the Mossad, but he seems to agree with his hunch seems to be in accord with my own.
Well, your first assumption is actually not accurate.
Okay. Well, you know him better than I do.
I'm just saying that he's not making that answer up. That comes from.
Okay, so
he's not an expert, but
they use local talent.
He's saying that
much like many of the comedy clubs do here in America.
He's saying that they're using locals, and they're also. It's not just Israeli Jews and Iranian Muslim or Arabs from local areas or local Iranians. He's saying that it's a huge country with many borders, and Israel has a very close relationship with, for example, Azerbaijan. And
yeah, I heard all that.
All right, so you're distilling that into something else. It sounds like you were right, and there's something that we didn't consider.
Well, I'm right. That's true. There's another. We didn't consider the third option with people that are from neither Israel nor Iran.
And so, and to your point, that is more impressive, perhaps, because they do have to come up with this whole spy backstory, right?
Right. They gotta. Yeah. They gotta do all that. So anyway,
Eli Cohen.
Eli Cohen.
Yeah.
A la Eli.
Okay.
Yes. So Right, Eli Cohen. I think they still have his body. They never sent it back, and they're still trying to get it back.
I just read something that they just found the last letter he wrote to his wife and kids.
I think they've had that for a while. I think he was able to. I think he got that letter to them, and then it was.
No, they just gave that to his wife.
Okay.
Tiana, can you see if that? Are you alive back there? Yes. Will you see Eli Cohen? Okay.
So anyway, but we've exhausted.
Do you think that you could be a spy?
No, of course not. Of course not. You got to have nerves of steel.
You do, right?
No, I certainly couldn't.
I'm sorry, you want me to look up what exactly for Eli Cohen?
Eli Cohen letter to his wife.
Okay.
They tried to recruit Guy for the Mossad after he finished in the army.
Okay, but he decided to come here.
Yeah, he decided to turn that position down, and I mean, he didn't come here until much later in life. He could probably be a spy, though. He's got that. Anyway, okay.
Again, I'm still like,
Here.
I still, well, I can't read that because it's in Arabic. Oh, here.
No.
Well, we don't have to read the whole thing.
No. But no. When did they find it? Did they just find that? Okay.
And also another thing is like Eli Cohen, like, did he speak the same Arabic that like an Arab?
You'd have to learn it.
No, he spoke perfect Arabic, but he spoke the Arabic that they spoke in his Jewish community in Cairo. It might not have been the same Arabic.
You'd have to have some kind of a story.
But I'm saying it may not have been the exact same. Like it might have been, how like, if I try to convince somebody that I was from South Carolina,
unless you,
I speak perfect English, but I couldn't pull off South Carolina. So I don't know if the communities in Cairo might have had a somewhat different way of speaking.
Unless you studied that accent.
Well, but I don't know if he did or he did.
I don't.
I'll have to ask ChatGPT. Anyway, okay.
They found the letter in May.
They found it.
She got the letter in May.
This May.
Year.
This May. I tell you, the Postal Service really. Anyway, whatever.
That's remarkable, right?
That's amazing. They just found it this year. Well, how did they find it?
The Mossad got it.
Okay. Oh, okay.
The Mossad went on like this special mission, and they got a bunch of his stuff.
They went on a mission just to get.
I don't know
stuff?
if they went on a mission just to get stuff, but the Mossad found or went to go.
I don't think they went on a whole mission just to collect.
I didn't say that.
To get some letters, maybe a staple gun.
Hello. After decades, Eli Cohen's widow receives his personal archive, including last letter before execution.
All right, what else have we got on the agenda?
We have India Air.
Air India, not India Air. There might be an India Air, but that's not the one that crashed.
I don't want to talk about this for too long because it gives me anxiety.
Okay.
But what do you want to say about this? There's one survivor.
Well, that's unbelievable. When you look at the footage and the whole thing blows up, somehow this guy was in like a pocket,
11A, seat 11A.
I don't know if 11A is a particularly like, if there's anything particular about that seat, whether it was in an area that's somehow more reinforced, or I don't know, but yeah, it's unbelievable. And he walked away. He wasn't even injured. I think he was just was walking away from the damn accident. They didn't even have to carry him out.
Really?
No, he's just walking away. That was crazy. His brother died.
It's horrible.
Yeah, his brother died. It's
crash. Horrible for everybody,
right.
Affected by that.
Right. So it's not like, for his family, it's certainly wonderful that their one son survived, but it's just their other son.
Now, speaking of inside knowledge, you can really speak to this because you are a trained pilot.
Well, I got a pilot's license many years ago. For financial reasons, I haven't used it in a while.
Why? It's expensive.
Very expensive to rent an airplane or to buy one. Certainly expensive, but to rent one's also expensive. But only single engine, now with those planes, which have nothing to do with the plane, So I don't know much about these planes. I only know what I watch on YouTube. There's some very good. I can recommend some excellent YouTube channels that discuss aircraft accidents.
Well, you can do that for our listeners by all means.
Well, there's Captain Steve. I don't know the exact address. You just put Captain Steve in the search bar. There's Blanco Lirio, BlancoLirio, and there's this pilot debrief. So those are three really good ones.
Now, this doesn't send you into a tailspin of panic?
About flying?
Yes.
No, because the odds are still, the 787 has been flying since, I think, 2011 when they first rolled off the assembly line. And this is the first, they call a hull loss, which sort of
a who?
euphemistically put, a hull, Hull loss.
Why do they call it
That's
that?
what it's called, a hull loss. They I don't know. That's what they call it. Maybe that's an insurance company term. I don't know.
Okay.
So I think a hull loss just means the plane it's like when you total a car, it's like equivalent of that.
Did this guy's luggage also make it out?
I doubt it. Oh, the guy that made it out? I don't think so. No, but it doesn't give me anxiety because I know the statistics are still very much with me, number one. Number two, I don't fly Air India, which I don't think, it's not bad, but I think it's not great either in terms of...
Yeah, I'd say so.
Well, not just because of this. I mean, I think just generally they've had issues. So I don't think they're going to be as safe as an American carrier.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. And this seems like a very, very 1 in a million more type. I don't know what exactly happened because no one does, and all the
no one knows what happened.
Not yet. They'll know when they analyze the black box. They got to analyze the black box.
How long does it take to analyze the black box?
I don't know. Maybe not that long, but they got to do it.
Did this happen like a week ago already?
Yeah, well, as far as I know, they haven't. They got to analyze it, and I guess they got to cross-reference it with the other evidence.
Well,
so you have the black box, and then then they'll talk to the survivor. They'll talk to the air traffic controllers. They'll talk to eyewitnesses, and they'll put it all together. And they're they tend to be very conservative about not
jumping to
conclusions. So they haven't. They might have already listened and analyzed the black box. There's one black box that records the audio from the cockpit and one that records all the flight parameters.
This is more than I can handle. I mean, this really, I need a Valium.
Well, you don't fly a lot, right?
I do fly a lot.
Yeah, well, okay.
You know nothing about me. I fly all the time. What do you mean?
All right, well, you're not flying Air India, which I think has already put you ahead of the game.
Okay.
If you're flying on an American carrier, if you're going to Israel and you're flying El Al, which has never had a hull loss. Well, actually, that's not true. They did in Amsterdam. It was a cargo plane that crashed. An Amsterdam El Al plane.
When was that?
You can look it up. I don't remember.
Okay, but flying to begin with is a little bit of a scary thing. What would possess you to want? I mean, I know that you're interested in AI and science and all that, but I mean,
no, I just thought it all started when I opened for Howie Mandel years ago in the '90s, and we flew in a private jet, and I was able to, for the first time, because I had flown in airliners, but I never got to see the cockpit and to see what was going on and to look out the front window. And it was really cool. Some people it
was really cool.
I just thought it was really cool.
Okay.
So then I started reading about it, and because I spent a lot of time at the bookstore in those days, back in the days when there was a bookstore on every corner, and reading about it and getting more interested in it. And finally I took a lesson. I actually had a lesson on 9/11.
Shut the fuck
Yeah, but
up.
I didn't get there. I didn't get to the airport. Because, obviously.
Why not?
Because I woke up and I turned on the TV to check the weather, and I saw what I saw.
And how often did you fly? How often do you have to fly to get away?
Once or twice a week for maybe a year. I mean, it took me long. I didn't do it maybe once a week, I don't remember, but it was a couple of years before I got my license.
So you're fully capable of taking
I'm fully capable of taking a tiny single-engine piston plane in perfect weather for a short flight, yes.
And landing it.
Yeah, but that's it. That's all I'm capable of.
But that's a lot.
I'm not capable of flying in weather, in clouds, because that requires an instrument rating, which I don't have. And I'm not capable of flying anything that's not... And even then, I'm only capable of flying a Cessna 172, which is what I trained in, because it's not like renting a car. Every plane is different. So you can't go from one to the other.
But now you can't be guaranteed that you're going to have perfect weather, right?
You look at the weather. Weather doesn't just pop up out of nowhere. If it's not a cloud in the sky, clouds don't just appear out of nowhere.
Okay.
So you check the weather. It doesn't just, clouds don't just surround you instantly.
Okay, if you say so. I don't know that much about clouds, but fine. No, this is, I'm seeing like a trend here, because this is exactly what you did with French.
Yeah, that's right. French was the same thing. I went to the bookstore because I was bored and trying to avoid my roommate. Not that he was a bad person, but you have a roommate, you know how it is. You don't want to see them. Like, you get, especially in a tiny little apartment.
Well, I'm married to my roommate.
But then you probably, even with that. So you go to the bookstore, was when they had bookstores. Well, I used to go to the movies all the time and just sit there and go from one movie, and then I go to the other movie. I like the multiplex.
Yeah.
And then I go to the bookstore.
Can you do that in a Jackie Mason voice?
I go to the bookstore. I go to the movie. Yeah, I don't know. It's not. It's.
Do it. Come on, try again.
I'll be honest with you. You go to the bookstore. Yeah, no, it's not coming. It's not coming.
Okay.
For whatever reason, it's not coming. I'm not an impressionist, but sometimes I can get a Jackie Mason, but it's not coming.
Okay.
Also, the topic, I don't know. I'm not inspired.
Okay,
I'm not
fine.
by the topic. But anyway.
You go to the
yes, but the
bookstore.
French was the same thing. It was me avoiding my roommate and going to the bookstore and studying French.
And then becoming like fluent in French to the point.
Becoming fluent. I mean, the fluency is a word with no precise meaning, but yes. I mean, the way that word is generally used, I would classify myself as fluent, but not native level fluency.
Okay. I mean, I would claim the same thing for my Hebrew.
Okay.
Fluency, but not native level.
Right. But again, fluency is a...
Define fluency.
There's no definition to it.
But I mean, come on.
Well, there's not really isn't.
Put some parameters around it, though.
I would, like, if I had to define it, I would say being able to say everything you want to say with reasonable fluidity and a minimal amount of stuttering,
okay.
And with... I mean, I don't like. It's hard to define.
That's fair. It's fair.
It's hard to define it. Like, and how much
being able to communicate.
Yes, but how much? Even if you can communicate, can you really? How much of your personality can you inject in the communication?
And nuance.
How much of you really comes through if you're, in the communication? So all those things are factors in terms of your level of
I agree with
mastery,
you.
and
Okay.
so it's very tough to precisely define where you're at in the language. And then the word fluency, I guess I would say you can say, I guess I would quote John Mayer, you can say what you need to say.
Okay. Well, I think that that's a fair and reasonable definition of fluency. Tiana, can you pull up fluent just to see what the dictionary definition says? By that definition, I would like to nail in a point that you and I have been going back and forth on for years. I am fluent in Hebrew.
Well, again, as I say, the word fluent, we don't have a
able to express oneself easily and articulately.
Okay, but those words easily and articulately are not the most precise words in the world. So. So
we're just gonna have to take a trip to Israel. That's the only way I'm gonna convince you of this. You have to see me interacting in the wild.
I guess there's plenty of Israelis here, and especially at the Olive Tree Cafe downstairs that come in. But when I see you speaking Hebrew, I hate to say it, I see you falling back on English a lot. That's all I'm saying.
I definitely do interject my Hebrew with some English words because there are words in Hebrew that I don't know. So for sure, yeah. I freely admit that. And yet, I still would say that according to your definition and the dictionary definition, I'm saying it's not a native level. It's not perfect. I'm not as articulate as I am in English, but my personality certainly comes through. I can express myself. I can say anything I need to say. And I do interject with English sometimes. And there are a lot of words that I don't know.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
So
So I'll give you fluency then.
Oh, wow.
Well, I'm man enough to admit.
Heard it here first.
When I'm in error.
Okay, our last topic today is going to be about your intermittent fasting.
Do we have some other? I could swear we had. Oh no, we did. Oh, I think we cut everything.
We covered.
Well, I'm intermittent fasting. Because first of all, I went to the gym, and like out of nowhere, I was 5 pounds heavier than I had been. I was like 160. Apparently, is the threshold for overweight for my height. And I'd been like 158, and all of a sudden, like overnight, so maybe the gym scale is wrong, but all of a sudden it was like 165, 164.
Well, did you feel and look like you were?
No, I didn't feel it. Well, because what happened is once I saw that 165, I started to pay more attention to what I was looking like. So, because I wasn't really paying attention.
Okay.
And I got a fucking gut.
Okay.
And I'm not happy about it.
Okay.
Now, you reach a certain age, and pretty much everybody has a gut, but I don't like it.
That's not.
Well, most people. I mean, you're not Lenny Kravitz.
Right.
Who I saw a picture of him online. He's 60 years old. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's, because he's injecting shit in him or.
No, I don't think so. I mean, maybe, but I think that's just what he looks like.
Well, look, virtually anybody in their 50s has a gut. But I don't like it. And I don't like being over 160 because that's the threshold of overweight. And I just don't like being overweight. So I said, well, I'm going to fucking take the bull by the horns. And while I'm at it, intermittent fast, because intermittent fasting does two things. Number one, theoretically, you could intermittent fast. Like what I'm doing is I'm eating in an 8-hour window and fasting for 16 hours.
When do you
Sometimes 17. It depends. Like when I start will vary, but it's always 16 hours after I stop eating that I start eating again. So usually it's 7 or 8 or 9.
In the morning?
No, at night I stop, and then I go around the clock. If I stop at 8, then the next day at noon I can start eating. If I stop at 9, then it's 1. You get the idea.
Now, are you hungry?
Yes. Yeah, it was fucking hard. It's not impossibly hard, but it's hard. But it does two things. Number one, you probably won't eat as many calories. Theoretically, you could eat 5,000 calories in an 8-hour, but generally and I'm being mindful to eat less calories. So you have less calories. So that's one positive. The second positive is the fasting window, the 16 hours apparently has these effects. It varies from person to person. I don't know if the science is 100% settled, but there's a lot of good evidence that it does a lot of good things for you. Lowering blood pressure, lowering cholesterol, some glucose shit that I don't really understand, but makes you less susceptible to type 2 diabetes. Cognitive health makes you less susceptible long term to dementia. So it has those effects, and we'll see. But
well, have you?
I haven't gotten my cholesterol checked. I haven't. My blood pressure machine broke, so I got to get another one. But I haven't checked that.
And have you checked your weight? Like, do you know?
Well, it's like a couple pounds. It's not much. Not much different.
It sounds like you weren't much up either. It's just a few pounds.
Yeah,
we're talking about just a number of
pounds. A few pounds, though. A few pounds can be very tough to.
I'm not saying no. I'm just saying that it sounds like you're dealing with like a 5 pound.
I'd like to be under 160, okay. But even 158, I'm still gonna have a gut, which is probably.
You don't have a gut. I'm looking at you right now. You do not have a gut.
Maybe I'm body dysmorphic.
Well, maybe that's very possible.
Well, it's a bit of a gut. Well, you haven't seen me without my shirt, but
I do think that it's good to be mindful of what you eat and to be healthy and all of those things.
Right. So is it hard? Yes. And along with the intermittent fasting, because I don't want intermittent fasting to eat garbage because that defeats the purpose. I'm trying to eat less carbs, less simple carbs, sugar, breads, and so on.
Now, do you like sugar? Do you have a sweet tooth?
Yeah, but I haven't really craved it because I guess I'm sort of used to it at this point because I did have some ginger beer downstairs before the show, which was a bit of an indulgence.
Yeah.
A bit of a splurge.
Now, do you cook at home?
Not much.
Not much.
Which makes it hard,
Because you don't like to, you don't want to, you don't know how to?
Yes, all the above. And I'm here, and I'm not in the house a lot anyway. If I'm here, I eat here.
Yeah.
By the way, Kyle Dunnigan and I are writing a movie together. I can't get into details about it, but he's a wonderful cook. I was at his house yesterday writing. You know Kyle.
Yeah,
He's
of
been on the
course.
show.
Of course.
And he gave me a wonderful anti-inflammatory meal.
What
Just terrific. It was salmon and spinach and tomatoes.
okay.
Just really, really good stuff. The guy's incredible. He's got so many talents. He does voices. He's a music guy. He even did he did his floor in his apartment.
Really?
Like himself.
Really?
He laid down like the flooring, and he did like a backsplash on his countertop. He like cut glass, and
wow.
I think I could do everything.
Well, he is extraordinarily talented. There's no doubt about that. Okay. Well,
Tiana, how did you find this episode? This is obviously very different than our typical episodes.
It was a nice catch up between the two of you. Nice refresh.
All right. Well, I'm not hearing great enthusiasm because it's not just what she says, but how she says it. That's what I pay attention to.
I think that if you had any interest in becoming like a good chef, you could probably.
I don't have that much interest.
You don't have that much interest. I don't. Yeah, I don't.
And again, I'm away so often that that's an excuse.
Yeah, that's not neither. Real. You're not interested. That's it. You're not interested.
Yeah. And the cleanup, I don't have a dishwasher, so.
You don't have a dishwasher?
No, so.
Why not?
I don't have it. I don't have a dishwasher. That's.
Well, I mean, you could get a dishwasher.
Yes, you got to put it somewhere. I guess so. There's a small kitchen, but.
They have small dishwashers.
All right, okay, all right.
Somebody comes in and installs it. You get like a small dishwasher for a small New York City apartment. That's insane. I cannot believe you don't have a dishwasher.
I don't know. Is it that on you? Tiana, do you have a dishwasher?
No.
There you go.
She's much younger than you are, with all due respect.
Oh, all right. Point taken. Point taken. Well, I also don't have a wife and kids, There's a lot of things I don't have that people my age often have.
I think we could start with a dishwasher. Are there any other things that like you're super interested in, or like French or flying planes that like maybe you'll delve into and become just an
There's nothing comes to mind. I am interested in AI, but not because I want to. I was never interested in programming computers, much to my financial detriment. But I am interested in the topic of AI. I find it fascinating. And as I said, if we can get somebody on we had
What are you so interested in?
I just find it interesting. I don't know. I just find it interesting. Because first of all, we could be on the verge of the greatest revolution the world has ever seen, or not.
In Iran?
No, AI.
I'm kidding. I think I read something that they're programming it to be anti-Semitic. I'm not kidding.
Well, they could be. I mean, who's programming?
Whoever's programming it, they're feeding in
all right. I mean, I haven't seen that. Because I'm on Twitter a lot, and a lot of people ask Grok questions about Israel and about Jews, and Grok is always very, very diplomatic in its anything but anti-Semitic in its answers.
Okay, good.
And this is Grok, which is Elon Musk. The guy that was allegedly gave the Nazi salute, if that's what you think. But I assume ChatGPT is similar. ChatGPT and Grok are both very, very politically correct. Their answers tend to be very politically correct when you ask them questions about anything to do with race, religion, what have you. But what's interesting is this could, as we discussed with that, I forgot her name, but what's her name? She's dating Nick Gillespie. We had her on.
Sarah?
Sarah, yeah, it might have been Sarah. But anyway, we talked about AI.
But here.
You weren't here. But she's not technical. She writes about it. Mm-hmm. And she lived with a robot for a time, so she can talk about it, but she's not technically involved. So I would, if we can get somebody that has some technical knowledge of AI and really get into where we're going with it. What's going? Is this really going to put everybody out of work, which some people are predicting?
You think it'll put us out of work?
I don't think it'll put comics out of work for a while, if ever. First of all, people want to hear from real people. even assuming a robot could write jokes as well as this human, and even assuming a robot could deliver jokes as well as a human, you want to hear a human, because a human has human problems. When a human says, "Oh my fuck," this happened, we feel it because we've been there.
Yeah.
The robot hasn't been there, so we're like, we can't relate to the robot. So I don't think comics are in any danger of being replaced anytime soon. But doctors, lawyers,
they say that a lot of people are
engineers, programmers,
a lot of people are buying up plumbing businesses because it's a business, and dentists, by the way, because it's a business that will not be taken over by robots, AI.
Well,
and dentists, it's too precise.
Okay. Yeah, because
supposedly,
well, that's the question, and we talked about that with the woman that we were, Sarah, I guess. You remember her name, Tiana? I hope she doesn't listen. But anyway, because anything where you have to use your hands and that's physical in nature is more difficult because you have to have the robot technology has to be at the level of the you can invent a robot that knows everything there is to know about dentistry, but can you invent a robot that can actually
do that? Would you let a robot perform surgery on your mouth?
If after several years the robot's record of surgery, I would wait to see if 2 years go by and every surgery goes perfectly, then yes.
Like these driverless taxis in San Francisco, would you take one of these?
Yeah, and if after 2 years there was zero accidents, then yes, I wouldn't do it.
You're a numbers guy. That's what you're saying. You're a real numbers guy.
If the statistics are in my favor, then I would. I just got a dental procedure done. It's funny you bring it up just yesterday because I had a chipped tooth and.
Oh yeah.
So he spackled. He put spackle in it.
Really?
Yeah, I had it done last year, but it came out. This tooth here, the left front tooth. You can't tell. Did a very good job.
I would just like to say that for a numbers guy to bring this whole conversation full circle, this is what I was trying to say.
Oh, you're talking about with the anxiety? Well,
that you have 15. If you're okay doing a 15-minute set and you've done probably.
Well, I said it was irrational.
Fine, tens of thousands of 15-minute sets, then a 30-minute set, or even a 45-minute set, according to your own logic.
Well, but there are certain things that are irrational. Certain fears, human fears that are irrational, that defy rationality, that are just baked into our sauce, and that
I hear that
is one of them. So that's my argument.
Okay. Well.
All right. Well, I hope people enjoy this episode. It's obviously very different than what we typically do.
Okay, they know that. We don't have to keep saying that. They're aware of that.
All right.
If they're still listening, they don't need to be told
If you've made it this far, then you don't need to be told. Okay, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Good night.